There are rules to losing weight and keeping it off that people don't talk about because nobody wants to say that they live their life according to rules. But the reality is, we all have rules for our own lives, whether we realize it or not. These rules could also be called our daily disciplines or our daily habits. But at the end of the day, they are a guideline for how we choose to live our life. And that guideline determines whether or not we are going to be thin, fat, unhealthy, or fit. So if you are trying to lose weight and if you are trying to keep it off, then you need to be playing by the right rules. If you feel like you have been struggling to lose weight or struggling to maintain your weight loss once you do lose it, then this video is for you because we are going to talk about the rules for weight loss that most people don't talk about, either because they don't think about it, don't realize that they are following rules, or they are on some weird BS with like no food rules and no guidelines because, self discipline is self hatred and all that other BS, right? But we're just going to get real today and we're going to talk about the things that you actually have to do to lose weight and keep it off. Otherwise, you will go right back to where you are now, where you don't want to be. So let me first start by saying that I think everyone may have their own set of rules or guidelines. I'm just going to be explaining the things that I know work for me personally, and they probably are things that other people, again, whether they realize it or not, they are following along on some level. But these are the basic rules and guidelines that I follow for myself as someone who lost 100 pounds naturally on my own almost 20 years ago, or over 20 years ago now, and have maintained a healthy weight since. In that time period, I have just learned to know myself, know my triggers, know my capabilities, know my limits. And I know that there are just certain things that I have to do on a daily basis, certain things I have to remind myself of to keep the weight off, to maintain healthy, to combat the food noise. So, the very first thing that I learned pretty early on is that you never bring your trigger foods home. Now, your trigger foods are anything that when you eat it, right, it just makes you want to just not stop. It just makes you want to have a whole on hinge fest. Okay. On my channel, a lot, we talk about food addiction and how food noise and obesity really is that. It is addiction to food. Okay. There are certain people who may be able to eat a few french fries and stop because they're full and that's that. Most of us, though, a lot of people cannot. Okay. They eat a few french fries and then they want to eat more and more, whether or not they're even hungry. It's because it's addictive and they have a harder time stopping than some other people. I think we all have our own different trigger foods. For some people, it might be french fries or fried foods. For other people, it might be sweets. Okay. I know my own trigger foods. French fries is definitely one of them. Okay. And anything like cookies or cakes, anything that's like from a bakery, breads, those kinds of things, like they trigger me into wanting to eat nonstop. And so I know if I have even just a taste, that's going to put the food noise back in my head and it's going to make it harder and harder for me to stick to my diet, to maintain healthy, to eat a normal amount because my brain is just not wired that way. And yes, I know that everyone will say that everything in moderation is fine. Yes, it is. Okay. You can have a few french fries. You're not going to get fat off of a few french fries, but that's not really what it's about. Okay. It's more about can you actually have a few french fries though? Okay. No, a few french fries won't make you fat, but eating like 3 pounds of them will. And if you know that even eating just a few french fries makes it harder for you to stop and you are more likely to overeat, then I say just don't keep it around you, right? But first, a quick shout out to today's sponsor, ISSA, the International Sports Science Association. Since 2020, I have been on a continuous self development journey. You guys have watched me on this journey as I've grown on my channel. Part of my self development journey has been going after all the goals that I've ever wanted to achieve. And one of those goals has been getting my personal training certification, which is when ISSA reached out to me, I jumped at the chance to work with them. ISSA is the leader in online fitness certification. They offer an online training program to get certified as a personal trainer in as little as 90 days. Fitness has always been a passion of mine and something that I have considered turning into a profession for years. Currently, I am training for my personal training certification and am loving the process. I like that it's all online and allows me to study at my own pace. Honestly, the amount I'm learning is a lot more than I expected, and it's already helping me learn how I can improve my own diet and workouts to reach my own fitness goals. Like how working opposing muscle groups can make my my workouts more efficient and help me achieve a more balanced physique overall. ISSA is also super affordable. They offer flexible interest-free payment options with no credit checks and multiple payment options to choose from. Another great perk with getting your certification through ISSA is that they partner with over 10,000 gyms, which offer over 73,000 personal training positions, which means you are guaranteed to get a job after you get your personal training certification with ISSA or your money back. So if any part of my story feels familiar to you, or if you feel like you are being pulled in the direction towards fitness and helping others achieve their goals, then this might be the sign that you need. Start your own personal training or health professional certification with ISSA today. Go to joinissa.com/Whitney Holcomb, also linked in the description, and use code Whitney Holcomb to get $100 off your own personal training certification program. You've wanted to make a change long enough. Now it's time to do something about it. So that's what I mean by remove the trigger foods from your home. Because as we know, I'm sure we've all been here, right? We go to Costco, we see something, okay, like the cookies that are on sale, and it's a huge plate of cookies. And you're like, wow, I love cookies. That's a great deal. Well, I guess if I only have one per day, or if I only have one like every other day, then it'll be fine, right? But we know that doesn't happen, does it? Okay, that's your plan. That's a good plan, but that's never how it works out, right? Because you come home, you have one. Oh, that was good. Maybe I'll have another. Oh, then maybe you have another. Before you know it, you've eaten like 5 of them, okay? And then the next day rolls around and you're like, oh my God, stay away from those cookies, right? Keep them away from me because I had 5 yesterday. Then you come home and guess what? You remember the cookies are in there, okay? Because they're still on your mind because you still have the taste of sugar in your mouth from the day before. And so you eat more cookies, okay? Until a few days go by and the entire plate, Costco plate of cookies that you would plan to have just one every single day, they're all gone. They're all gone because that is your trigger food, okay? When you know that you have a problem with overeating on certain things, never bring them into your house. Never bring them into your house because they will disrupt your routine. They will make it harder for you to stick to your plans. And then you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not a disciplined person. I can't do this. I can't lose weight. No, it's because you are purposely, intentionally putting yourself in a situation that is very hard to overcome. Okay. There is no reason that we need to have a cookie every single day. There's no reason you need to eat your trigger foods every single day. If you can help it, okay? If I know this is harder when you live with other people who may not have the same goals as you, but at least for yourself, you know that you will not bring that stuff home. If you have other people in your house that are bringing that stuff home, I would suggest, having a conversation with them, either asking them to not bring it home or to, keep it away from you. Okay. Put it in a part of the fridge or a part of the cupboard where you're not as likely to see it. Maybe even ask them to not eat it in front of you if you can help it. Or if they do start eating it in front of you, then, you have to walk out of the house, go to a different room. But this is the number one, I think, most important rule that I have found has made me successful in not only losing the weight, but also keeping it off. More importantly, probably keeping it off, okay? Because what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that once you lose the weight, you don't just go back to your old habits and put yourself in the same situations over and over again, because that will lead you back down the path of your old life, right? The life you don't want, the one where you're fat and unhappy and miserable. So number one is being able to recognize where your downfalls are, what your trigger foods are, and learning to just work with them. Because the reality is your trigger foods, your food addiction will likely never, ever go away. It may be subdued. And as you get stronger in your new lifestyle, you can control it a little bit better. But food addiction, I believe, is just like any other addiction, okay? Like, I don't think that you would tell an alcoholic, like, oh, just moderate your drinking. Oh, well, it's just a bottle of wine. Why can't you just keep the bottle of wine in the house? Not like you have to drink it. Right? I don't think that we would ever give that advice to alcoholics. I think the same thing should be said with people who have problems with obesity, people who have problems with food addiction. Removing yourself from situations where you will be tempted to go back to your old habits. That, I think, is key for losing the weight and for maintaining it. Number two, okay, piggybacking off of number one, right? Where you don't bring that stuff into the house, not if you can help it. There's always going to be holidays and exceptions. And in those situations, you try to remove the food from your house as quickly as possible, okay? Number two, though, okay, look, if you watch my channel, I never say like, oh, you can never eat a cookie again, okay? You can indulge, but if you're going to indulge, all right, I want you to indulge outside the house. I want you to get in the habit of, look, okay, if I am going to have a treat, I'm going to have a cookie, I'm going to have an ice cream, I'm going to, have a French fries, a big, nice meal, right? I'm not bringing it home. Because what did I just say before, right? Okay, well, you want a cookie, so you go to Costco and they give you the huge pack of cookies, right? And you always say, I'm going to have one, but you never have one, right? So if you want to indulge, I want you to get into the habit of you indulge outside the house, okay? Your home is like your safe space. That is your haven. That is where you are fit. That is where you are disciplined. That is where you are on track, okay? As you get stronger in your weight loss journey, as your discipline gets stronger, and when you are in maintenance mode, you can have days where you can let loose a little bit and you should be able to enjoy food, okay? You should be able to have food be a fun part of life if that works for you. I mean, some people really do need to abstain from certain things forever, and I totally get it. We all are a little bit different. But if you are someone where you're like, you know what, I know that, hey, I can control myself and I can have, one day where I indulge a little bit, but then the next day I'm going to get back onto my daily routine. That's awesome, right? I still would say, eat that stuff outside the house, okay? Instead of going to Costco or the grocery store and buying a big pint of ice cream, go to an ice cream shop. Get, a really good scoop of ice cream, some like homemade kind of like really awesome ice cream. Enjoy it while you're out, okay? Eat it there. And why do I say this, right? Number one, because you are less likely to eat more of it, okay? You're more likely to control yourself. If you go to an ice cream shop, right, and they give you a pre-portioned out scoop of ice cream, you will eat that. You're less likely to go back to the counter and be like, hey, can I get another scoop of ice cream? Can I get another banana split, right? You may. I mean, hey, we all have those days, right? But you're less likely to do that, okay? By indulging outside of the house, it's going to be easier for you to portion control. Versus again, if you bought a whole pint of ice cream home and you're like, okay, I'm only going to have one bowl, but then 30 minutes later, right? Oh, well, that ice cream is pretty good. I guess I'll have more, right? That is the number one reason why I say indulge outside your house. And then, of course, the other reason is because I don't want you to get into the habit that, okay, in my home space, right? I allow this into my routine. I don't want it to become part of your routine. I don't want you to normalize having those foods in your home and readily available to you at any time. Okay, and number three, speaking of indulging or eating food outside of your house, when you go to restaurants, you are still sticking to your healthy habits. So, what does this look like? Okay. One thing that I did very early on, still do today, is look for the healthier things on the menu. Okay. So it could be a salad. It could be getting the grilled chicken sandwich instead of the fried chicken sandwich. Okay. It's usually something that is not totally carb loaded. Like I rarely ever get a big pasta dish. I usually tend to go for something that has a protein with vegetables on the side and a complex carbohydrate. All right. So that is what I look for. I look for my main staples so that it is going to be a little more indulgent than what I usually eat, but it's not going to be too far off. So that is my number one rule for eating out at restaurants is I don't use it as an excuse to just order the most caloric thing on the menu. The second thing I do is share whenever possible. So I think a good rule of thumb that works for me is if I'm getting like my meal, okay, I order something that's pretty healthy. And then if I want to try the French fries or the creme brulee, whatever else, that looks really good, I'll share it with whoever is there. Okay. Or if someone else is getting a meal that has French fries, I'll take a few of their French fries. All right. I guess this only works if you are with people that you really know and don't mind you taking their food, but that is just what works best for me. I know I have my fiance now, and sometimes we will just share an entire meal all together. We'll get an appetizer, we'll get the meal, and even if it isn't the most like healthy, it's still a lot better than us eating all that on our own. I think this works especially well when you are in the maintenance phase of weight loss because, like I said, right, it is okay to indulge once in a while as long as you don't overdo it. So if you're going to go to a restaurant, then I would rather you get the healthy, most healthy-ish thing on the menu, share with people around you so you're not eating everything all by yourself. And I think this works really well, especially if it is during a time period where maybe you are having to eat out a lot more often than usual. It's the holidays, you have people or friends in town, then this is like your go-to like restaurant survival guide. That and also staying away from the bread basket, okay? It's very tempting. I know I love the bread too, but if you are in a period where you're eating out a lot, okay, skip the bread basket, stick to just your main course and your appetizer, share with your friends and family. This will help you stay on track with your weight loss, and it will also help you feel a lot less bloated afterwards. You're not going to feel as guilty after eating out. Okay, the next rule for weight loss and keeping it off is that you never go more than 2 days off of your routine. So I learned about this really early on, I think, in my weight loss when I was still a teen. And I think that this is probably just something that some personal trainer said. I don't know who. But their thing was like, look, never go more than 2 days in a row without working out. And there are reasons for this, right? Because number one, yes, if you are actively trying to lose weight, you have to be consistent with your workouts. You have to be consistent with your diet. Otherwise, you're not going to get the results you want. But I also think that when you go more than 2 days off of your routine, especially when you are the very early stages of trying to lose weight and change your life and your routines, it is very easy to get sidetracked and to completely fall off your routine if you allow yourself to go more than 2 days without working out or without eating right. Because what did I just say, right? Losing weight is about consistency. Being fit is about consistency. And so when you go more than 2 days, well, that turns into 3 days. Then it turns into 4 days and 5 days. Before you know it, oh crap, it's been a whole week since you've worked out, or it's been a whole week since you've been on your diet. And then you look at the scale, you look in the mirror, nothing's changed. Or worse, you gained weight. So I always remembered this rule, even when I was younger. And I have been really vigilant about sticking to that for the past 20 years. No matter what has gone on in my life, I always found time to do something. Okay. I always found time to work out. Or if I knew, oh my gosh, I've been eating really bad for a while, like I always know, like, okay, I need to cool it, get back on my routine. Even if it's just one day, like let's just say you go 2 days without working out, you work out on the third day, and then maybe you go another 2 days without working out. You work out again on the third day, right? Again, the point is to keep you in your habits. The point is to keep you on some kind of schedule. It's consistency. It's so that you don't fall back completely into your old habits. When you make this rule for yourself, this just becomes part of your life. And this is going to make it easier for you to maintain this weight for years to come, okay? I definitely know. I know for a fact that this is one of the reasons that has allowed me to be able to maintain a healthy weight for the past 20 years. Because I've been honest with you guys, I've fluctuated here and there. Like I had like a 30-pound weight loss recently. And, look, I take full accountability for why I gained weight in the first place. It was bad habits, right? But I guarantee you, the reason I did not gain more was because I didn't completely abandon my bad habits. I stuck to okay, no more than, 2 days off. I stuck to eating fairly healthy-ish when I could. I always knew how to get myself back. You know what I mean? But these rules have to be ingrained into your psyche. They have to be part of your daily life. Otherwise, it is really easy to fall into bad habits. Okay. It is really easy to go back to who you were before because that's comfortable. And now, look, of course, sometimes there will be exceptions. You get sick, you get injured, right? Things will happen where you can't work out on the third day. You're going to have to go more than a couple days without being on your routine. But the point is that you never forget, okay? You keep this rule ingrained into your mind. You know that once you are feeling better, that once you have the opportunity, that is the first thing you do, whether it's just going for a walk, okay? Whether it's doing just a 1 day fast, you do something to get back on your schedule because that is who you are now. Okay, the next rule is that you don't make impulsive food buys. So this is something that, I pretty much grew up with this, right? Like, with my family, we would go to the grocery store or we'd just be out and about and drive past a drive-through and, hey, anyone want some french fries? Anyone want to go to McDonald's and get a milkshake? Like, no one's hungry. We don't need any food. It's just kind of like, it's impulsive. It's there. So might as well just get a milkshake, right? And that was just kind of how we were brought up. And that's just kind of what we did. Go to the grocery store and, okay, in the checkout aisle, I'd always get like a candy bar or some kind of candy, right? That was just a pattern. That was just a habit. And we didn't think twice about it, right? But that was the problem. We didn't think twice about it. We made impulsive food buys that were really the result of genius marketing and foods that are engineered to be addictive so that we keep wanting to buy them and eat them, right? But yeah, we didn't think twice about it, okay? And that's why we got fat, okay? That's why we weren't healthy. Because when you just allow yourself to just impulsively eat whenever you feel like it, just because something pops into your mind, because you drive by a drive-through, okay? You see something at the grocery store and it has a nice pretty packaging and it's a chocolate covered bunny animal cracker cookie. I don't know, right? And you're just like, oh, that looks good. I think I'll try it now. No, you don't do that. You can't do that anymore. We can't be impulsive with our cravings. We can't just eat whatever we want, whenever we want it. And that's why we got fat. You need to learn to rewire your brain to only eat when you're hungry, number 1, when you know it's time to eat, and only eat things that align with your goals. So that was something else I had to learn really early on too when I was losing weight. And I was the only one in my family that was making these changes, right? And so they were still eating all the other stuff, but I had to learn really quickly like, if I want to lose weight, I can't be eaten that way. So I've got to eat my own way. And I had to learn early on like, just because the food is there, just because someone offered to buy me a milkshake, just because I'm at the grocery store and there's a whole wall of candy at the checkout, doesn't mean I have to pick it up. Doesn't mean I have to eat it. I had to be intentional about what I was eating and when I was eating. So if I just had my meal and then again, someone offers, oh, some potato chips, while we're watching the movie. No, I just had my meal. I'm not going to eat those potato chips because those are unneeded calories. They're not necessary. Those are calories that are just going to be converted into fat because they don't align with my goals. And so it is so crazy for me to even like to think about back then, right? And how I was with food and my habits around it because now, I mean, I just don't do that. I mean, I don't go to the grocery store and just randomly pick up snacks. I don't, just drive through a drive-through and be like, huh, I think I'll have some French fries now. It's just not even part of my routine. It's not even a thought that crosses my mind because I have become so used to doing this, right? But it starts with being intentional about it. Okay. You have to be intentional about changing this behavior, about changing this way of thinking. That's why I think it's great to have these rules outlined for you so you understand what the rules of weight loss are, what the ways of thinking are that helps you again, not only lose the weight, but keep it off. Because once your 30-day detox diet ends, once your 30-day boot camp diet ends, you need to have some kind of plan, some kind of guide to help you stick with your new healthy habits, to help you stick with your new healthy routine. Okay, the next rule for weight loss and keeping it off. When you do indulge, again, I told you so many times, I like to indulge myself, all right? No one's perfect. You don't have to be. But when you do, you make up for it. So this is something that has been called toxic, I guess, or disordered when I guess you're not supposed to earn your food or earn your cheat meals. I mean, I look, if we're coming from a real restrictive point of view where you really had a problem, yes, totally, right? You don't need to earn your food that keeps you alive. For sure, everyone needs to eat. You have to eat whether you exercise or not. But when you are severely overweight, when you are in a pattern of excessively overeating all the time, then yes, I think that you do, in a sense, have to earn your food or you have to make up for it. So this next rule that I live by is when, you do indulge, you make up for it. And that could be, hey, I had, I don't know, I had a dozen cookies. Okay, I had a dozen cookies the night before. So, you know what? The next day, it's probably a good idea if I don't have a dozen more cookies. Okay, it's probably a good idea if maybe I eat a little bit less. Okay, or lo and behold, I work out. I work out and I burn off some of those calories. I know this is so triggering for some of those anti-diet dietitians, but no, actually, when you overeat, I think that you do need to get your body back into an equilibrium. You need to have some kind of balance. If you don't have balance, then your body's going to be out of whack. Then you're going to gain weight. Then you're not going to feel good. Okay. So if you overindulge, that's fine. Work out a little bit more the next day. Okay. Reduce your calories a little bit the next day. This is essential for maintaining your weight because if you are indulging consistently, you are consistently eating more calories than your body needs, right? And if your body doesn't need that energy, if you're not burning it off, then it stores in your fat cells and it builds up a little bit over time. This is why so many people are obese in our country, or so many people gain weight, especially as they age, because they don't realize that, okay, oh, the 300, 400 extra calories that they ate the night before, that they ate the next day, and the next day, and the next day, it adds up. It doesn't seem like much, but if they're not doing anything else to counteract it, and they are consistently eating over what their body needs, then that results in weight gain. And then they wake up in 10 years and they're like, I don't understand. I haven't done anything different. Why did I gain 50 pounds? Well, it's because you were consistently overeating and you didn't do anything different. That's why. So yes, that is one of the rules that I live by is, yeah, if I'm going to indulge, like I'm going to make up for it. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that because I have the extra energy to go for the extra walk or the extra run, which I love to do. Exercise is awesome for you. Or I just eat a little bit less the next day. I eat more vegetables. I eat more protein. And by making this a hard and fast rule for your life, then you will be able to maintain your weight loss and still enjoy yourself a little bit. So I think it's a win win. Okay, finally, the last rule of weight loss and keeping it off is that you have to set new standards for yourself. Okay, so all of these rules that I just listed, these can be your new standards. This is part of your new standards for your life. You have to set new standards and live by them. But your new standards could also be something like, okay, every day I get 10,000 steps. All right. Or, every day I drink 8 glasses of water, right? I don't know. I'm making things up, but it could be whatever little thing that you need to do that help you stick to a healthy routine. It could just be anything, any little thing that you need to do that helps you stick to being the person that you want to be. It might not really have anything really to do with health or fitness, but it's something that makes you feel like you are the ideal version of yourself. It's something that makes you feel like you are the person you want to be because your standards quite literally create your reality. All right. Your standards are what you choose to accept or not accept, whether it's in yourself or from other people or from your environment. But you need to set these standards for yourself so that, again, you have a guide map to help you stay centered and focused on your goals, on who you want to be. So it could also be like a weight goal. Okay. I mean, I think, for me, for many years, I had like a rule like, okay, I'm not going to let myself get over this weight, right? Because I know if I'm getting over this weight, then I'm going back down into a path I don't want to be on. Okay. Because if I let myself go over this weight, then I know that I am regressing, right? And I think that is especially important for people, if you were obese before, or, if you suffer with addiction, because it can be very easy to slip back into old patterns sometimes without you even realizing it, right? You might, okay, I'm having like just a handful of popcorn every single day. But like I said, sometimes it creeps up on you and you don't realize how many calories you're really taking in per day. So if you are not tracking your weight, if you are not on top of your own stats, then, you might wake up, okay, like 2 months later and you're like, oh crap, I've gained 20 pounds, right? And so for me, I know for many years I had like, okay, like I know like when I fluctuate between this and this weight, but if I go over this weight, then it's a problem. Then I know I need to buckle down. And then of course I did have a period where I went over a lot over that weight. Just when I back a few years ago when I was up to 160, or not even a few years ago now. It was like what 7 years ago. I can't believe it. Time is a weird thing. But you know what? Part of that was because I didn't have those standards. I lowered my standards. And interestingly enough, I lowered my standards in many other aspects of my life. Everything's all connected, right? So standards are very important to have for yourself. So you need to decide what standards that you're going to set for your life, and then you need to start living by them. And if you need help learning how to set standards for yourself, you can check out my video, How to Set New Standards for Yourself to Be Successful in Your Weight Loss. I will link the video at the end of this video. But guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening. As always, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. You can also check out my book, One Year, 100 Pounds, which is a story of how I lost 100 pounds on my own at 14 years old. It's also a tough love guide for how you can do it too. And I also have my 1 Year New You 1 Year New You guided weight loss journals. They are based off of the same journaling format that I used to lose 100 pounds in 1 year, all on my own, and still use today. If you want to check those out, if you need some extra help with your weight loss goals, with setting standards for yourself, and you like my tough love approach, then you will like these journals. So I will link them below in the description. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.